Right guys, so welcome back to the channel, and I'm going to do another series. Blood Angels is my first and favourite army. I collected these back in 2nd edition, and then of course moving back into 7th. When 7th came out, I got back into the hobby and I had to play with the 5th edition Codex, the 7th and now the 8th edition Codex. So, a lot of people on the Blood Angel page on Facebook want to see some competitive pure Blood Angel lists and some tactics employed. So whilst I haven't visited my Blood Angels for a while, they do feel rather underloved, and that is what this series is for. A lot of people think that the whole sort of fluffy side of the Blood Angels is gone, and you know, it's a case of running Blood Angels mixed with soup to try and be competitive. So, I'm going to try and sway people's minds. I'm going to do that by playing a series of games with the Blood Angels, so you can expect a lot of Blood Angel battle reports coming soon. But you know what? They're my first army, they need a little bit of love, and I really want to get used to them again. So, I want to stick at 1750 points, and I'm going to play around about 10 games, and between each game, I'm going to talk about what worked well, what didn't work, and what my tactics were, and what I'm going to change in the list to make it better next time. So, this is the first iteration of the 1750 list, and I wanted it to still have a punch, but to be very fluffy. So, I'll talk you through what I've got, why I've picked them, and hopefully you can see why. So, I'm running a battalion first of all, and of course leading it up is going to be Captain Slam. Now there's two ways to run him. If you're interested in Captain Slam Tactica, go and check out the video that I did. I'll either run Death Visions of Sanguinius, or Gift of Foresight, I think the Warlord trait is, or Artisan of War, depending what I'm up against and depending what else is in the list. In this iteration of the list, I'm going to run Artisan of War because I don't have too much multiple damage weapons. And of course, he'll be the Warlord to take the Relic. And of course, I will be using the Death Visions of Sanguinius stratagem on him. So straight away, that's going to be 1 command point spent. There's 10 available in this list. Troops choices. I'm going to run 2 units of scouts, and you'll notice I've only got 4 on the left. It's because I haven't got the 5th one painted with combat knives. That will happen before the game. I've then got a unit of sniper scouts. Again, not necessarily my first choice, but it's what I've got painted at the minute, so you can expect them to probably swap out for more combat knife ones. I think there's a really big place in the army for scouts. Of course, these combat knife scouts are getting 2 attacks apiece, +1 to wound. Scouts are great because you can infiltrate them up the field at deployment. It stops your opponent counter-deploying with their scouts. Stick them up high in a ruin and you know, might not get charged. I would say expect to lose them, or if you know you're going first or you've got a good chance, keep them low down, get a charge in first turn. You know, start eating away at some of your opponent's mass firepower units and things like that. Scouts are great. People say, oh, well, they're not intercessors. They've only got 1 wound. They've only got a 4 armor. They play totally differently. And to show that, I'm going to run 2 units of 5 intercessors as well. Totally different roles. These guys are basically going to stay on the back objectives, move around. I've equipped them all with assault bolters because I want the extra range, because most of this army is very close and personal. I want more shots at further range. So no AP, but of course I can move and I can fire on the move, and I've got 2 shots at range 24. So not bad. And the second HQ for the battalion is my old Captain Castigon model, and of course Castigon in the fluff is now dead. If you followed my Blood Angels, you'll know that I play 4th Company, and Captain Castigon was the captain of the 4th Company. It's now not. It is, I think, Raphael, which is now going to be this guy, basically. So this is Lieutenant Castigon, the descendant of Captain Castigon. Yeah, the really old 2nd edition metal model. So yeah, he's got actually a chain sword, not the power sword. and Stormbolter. He's going to stay back with these guys, just giving them the reroll 1s to wound. You know, he's a cheap HQ. You can stick him in there, and I needed a 4th HQ. So he's going to stay at the back with them, and that is the battalion. I'm then running a fluffy Outrider detachment, which is a Sanguinary Priest with jump pack. And he's there to give everybody else +1 strength that he keeps up with. And you'll see where that's going to come into effect a little bit later. I've got a unit of 9 Assault Marines with a single flamer in there. Again, just kind of using them not as chaff, but fast-moving objective grabbers. And they've got a fair few attacks between them to hopefully deal damage to, I wouldn't say heavily armoured units, but I wouldn't hesitate chucking them at like 5 or 6 Marines. Just weight of attacks with the +1 to wound, going to be very, very useful. For a little bit of mobility and firepower, I've gone for 2 units of 3 Inceptors with bolters. That's 18 dice at strength 5 -1 each. And of course, if they're anywhere near the captain, keeping up with him, they're rerolling hits of a 1. If they're anywhere near the lieutenant, it's rerolling wounds of a 1. So again, they're kind of going to be, depending on what I'm going up against, I'll probably keep them at the 18-inch range that they need to shoot stuff without getting too close. They're not a combat unit. Yes, the Primaris that can kind of hold themselves up, but they're not a dedicated close combat unit at all. These will be the mobile objective grabbers whilst keeping at range and peppering and softening up the rest of the army. So whilst this is the anvil, the hammer are these guys. So it's a very, very big point sink running both Death Company and Sanguinary Guard, but again, I wanted to do this very, very fluffy. So of course we've got Lemartes, and he's going to be running around with the Death Company, giving them reroll hits. There's 2 Thunder Hammers in there, 1 Power Sword because I had a few points left over. Everybody else has got Chain Swords, and of course he's going to let them reroll charges and hits. The second part of the hammer is the Sanguinary Guard 9. 3 with axes, because that's what they're modelled with, and I'm trying to do this army as much WYSIWYG as possible. And 1 Infernus pistol in there. And the Sanguinary Ancient with an axe to give them reroll wound rolls of a 1 in the combat phase. Now I'm going to spend another command point straight away to take the Banner of Sacrifice. Now basically, all of this is probably going to deploy. Of course, keep the Assault Marines on the board. Probably, maybe keep a unit of Inceptors off, just so I've got that firepower without them getting shot up too early. Depending on the turn, the plan is basically use full-on Fury to get the Death Company moving, get them up the field, use Upon the Wings of Fire to redeploy Lemartes and keep him up there with them, and potentially get that turn 1 charge or hit something very, very hard. The idea is possibly, again, depending on the situation and who I'm fighting, maybe leave him on the board, move him up the table. Of course, he can hide around with the jump infantry and things like that. Potentially drop him in alongside the Sanguinary Guard. But the Priest and the Ancient are probably going to do very, very similar things. Either drop in with the Sanguinary Guard or move up when the time is right in turn 2. And basically what we want to do is to have all 3 of these characters, so the Captain, the Priest, and the Ancient, all within range of the Sanguinary Guard. Now the Sanguinary Guard are the heaviest hitters in the list, besides Captain Slam. I forgot to mention, of course, he will be taking the Angel's Wing relic. These guys drop in 3d6 charge using, I can't remember the name of the stratagem now, but the 3d6 charge 1. They'll be using that. Now, they obviously hit very hard anyway. The strength 4, the axe is strength 5. So against Marines, you would normally wound on 4s, Blood Angels charging wound on 3s. With swords, obviously -3 d3 damage. The reason that I've taken the Priest, and this is where it gets good and you pull the combos off, you become strength 5 with the swords, strength 6 with the axes. That means you're wounding Marines on 3s, +1 because of the Blood Angel trait means you're re-rolling, you're wounding on 2s, and then you're re-rolling 1s because of the Ancient. The best thing is the Sanguinary Guard have a rule that they can reroll failed hits in this combat phase if the Warlord is within range. So of course he's going to be up there with them. So it's a very, very tight-knit kind of combo. Of course they've got a 2-up armor save, they've got 2 wounds apiece. The Banner of Sacrifice helps keep them alive a little bit longer with that 5-up ignore wounds. And if you do start losing them, you've got the Priest there not only to give them extra strength, but to also either heal them or put a guy back every turn, which is great. So that's the philosophy. These guys are kind of the first blow of the hammer, and then these guys are kind of the second blow on the anvil. And of course, these guys staying at the back, these guys playing a part so that, you know, deployment restrictions against the opponent. Assault Marines grabbing objectives and taking out sort of, what's the word? They're an aggravation squad basically, and then the Inceptors and the Intercessors are there to soften the targets up, ready for the Death Company to charge in, or indeed the Sanguinary Guard. In the words of Lawrence, shoot what you can kill, or only kill if you know that you're going to kill. Don't try and kill it, kill it. So basically, obviously, the Inceptors shooting a big squad, Death Company go in, kill it off, consolidate into something else. Basically, the idea is make sure you kill whatever these guys charge, consolidate into another unit, shut that unit down. So there we go. That is the philosophy of this army. We'll see how it does in game, and then we'll come back and talk about any changes that I feel like making.